everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 20TIMinutes. I am your host, Tim McCarthy. Today, I am joined by Taylor James of the Waffle Shop Podcast. Taylor, what is happening, my man?
I'm very, very good. I'm very glad to be here. I'm really looking forward to this. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. We were just laughing right before this, so I was like, no, what? Let's just jump right into it. So you have the Waffle Shop Podcast. We were just talking about this. Can you explain your podcast a little bit? Because when I first found you, I was like, oh, here's a mental health podcast, and I'm pretty sure they probably eat waffles with one another while they talk. And then I watched and listened to a bunch of episodes. I'm like, I don't think there's any waffles. But then I came across because of our different locations. But yeah, explain that a little bit for people that are also confused from the States.
I feel like I like reel people in with that. So like, oh, I like waffles. It's like, nah, nope. It's like a trap. You're here now, so you've got to listen to the rest of it.
Yep.
But it is literally like in the UK where I'm from, and we have like a term saying like, you know, if someone's like talking too much or they're chatting shit, you're like, oh, they're just waffling, like ignore them, or they're, oh, you know, they're just waffling on. So when the podcast was born, it just naturally felt right. And then the shop part to me was like, you go to the shop to get like your necessities and the stuff that you need. So it's just like, oh, okay, waffle shop. Then it was literally, it was such a beautiful day when it all came together.
I like it so much because, again, I was like, I thought it was about literally waffles. And I love that phrase. Like, where did that come from? Like, why is it like like we're having a waffle? Like, do you know how that started?
Genuinely actually have no idea. And you would think now it's been like over a year of running the podcast, I probably should know the answer to that question. But I don't know.
Don't do it. That makes it even better.
Because I feel like this kind of stuff is like, it'll end up being like something really disappointing.
Yep.
And then I'll get upset, and then it's just a ripple effect that it'll have on me. So I'm just gonna ignore that bit.
And then I heard another podcast from someone from the UK, and they used the term waffle, and I was like, they're stealing Taylor's shit. And I was like, wait, it's actually a real UK phrase. I won't say it to give them publicity.
Name.
I'll tell you off here. So when did this start, and how long you been doing? Because when I looked you up, you're doing pretty well over in the UK. You said you're in the top 10 for mental health podcasts. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's see when it started, it literally, because it came from like such a dark place for me. Like it started as part of my therapy for my anxiety and PTSD. So it was just it was an outlet for me. Like I had 4 therapy sessions. I was like, you know, at that awkward stage of like really opening up and laying all my cards out. Then the pandemic hit. So it was like, oh, okay. I either carry on talking about how I'm feeling about my mental health, or I run that risk of going back to that like dark place that I was in. So when it did start and it started to gain momentum, I was like, oh, okay, this is a little bit much. But then I started doing it by myself, and then I took real like control over everything, and it was the first time that I'd actually like properly like been myself and getting like my personality across, and it just went insane. I didn't know podcast charts were a thing. Then you have all these like notifications of like people listening like in the most random places around the world, and you're like, how are you listening to me? There was like a stage like not so long ago. It was like number 3 in Brazil. It's like, I'm pretty sure English isn't the main language in Brazil. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. But how are you listening to this? And like, it's mad, but I'm so grateful because, you know, it's completely changed my life. And, you know, I wouldn't be sat here today having this chat with you if I hadn't have kind of carried on with it. So yeah, it's mind blowing.
That's great. And it's Portuguese in Brazil is what they speak. I trained with a couple of Brazilians, so that's how I figured out, because then you're like, do you speak Brazilian? They're like, no, you idiot. We speak Portuguese. I'm like, oh, okay, now I know. It's perfect.
We learned something new today.
Yeah, exactly. We just don't know we don't know where waffle stems from, but we know now that Brazilians speak Portuguese and now English.
Brazilians love waffle, apparently. So
yeah,
there we are. I'm just as baffled as everyone else. So
It is funny that you state like when you took control over yourself, because I think it is kind of tough as a podcast host like you and I to share with other people. And it's not like we're
Yeah,
egomaniacs, but it's tough to collaborate with the team. Like it's cool to be the Avengers, but then you got to do your
yeah,
own movie, and it's like, oh, that guy's my favorite. I want to like stick with him. And it's cool that he does other shows and gets together, but I want to rock with him. Um,
yeah.
so it is a tough thing to do, and you're doing great at it, obviously. Now, when
Oh,
did you
thank you.
start it? Because I feel like we're both the podcast pandemic people, where it did
Yes.
help us. So it was during when COVID hit. Did you have like an instant moment? You're like, all right, I'm going in with this. We're gonna do it the waffle. Like, what was the inspiration and the idea about it going into it?
So, to be fair, I'll probably rewind a little bit just to give a little bit of the backstory as
Yeah.
to how it came about. But it was around 4 years ago, I nearly lost my mom to an operation that went wrong. But in that process of like my mom being like in a coma and like being told like, you know, she's not going to live. They were basically what had happened. She had a slip disc, which I didn't realize how common it was until
Yeah.
fairly recently. She had it operated on, but what was happening was the spinal fluid was actually leaking, and it had collected around the bottom of the spine, which then became infected. So in that time, she was getting obviously very delirious. She at one point she didn't know who I was. So I got her to hospital, and they're like, "Okay, we're just going to drain the fluids." That was that, and I left the hospital to come home because my little sister was starting her GCSEs the day after. Um, so then in the morning, I got a phone call to say, "You need to get to the hospital. We need to make a decision in regards to your mom's brain." And then when I got to the hospital, it was like, what the hell? Like, you told me they were just going to drain this fluid. Now all of a sudden, the fluid has traveled up the spine and then caused a blockage, which then has starved the brain of oxygen. So, like you said, like when I think before we started like recording, it's like when you're in these kind of places and the doctors are saying all these big words and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Can we swear?
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, I
Yeah,
was
don't
about
worry
to
about it.
say.
I swear way worse on these episodes, so go for it.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I've literally, I can't, even now, 4 years later, I can't articulate how I actually felt at that time. I was just lost. But then, obviously, what then happened of them telling us, you know, mom isn't going to make it, in and out of like intensive care. She started to get like slightly better, but she didn't show any kind of signs of improvement. So a lot of the time we were back in these little rooms, back in intensive care, and it was just like a rolling form of like traumatic events after each other, as well as trying to keep myself going, keep my house going. Like I took full care of my younger sister, and you know, I didn't know mental health really. I'd heard of it, but I hadn't experienced it. So I had all this stuff going on, and it got to a stage in like January of 2020 that mom had been in hospital with aspirated pneumonia. And I got to that stage where I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. Like I kind of had nothing left in me to keep going. And it was the first time I had a lot of thoughts and a lot of kind of, I was in that very dark place of like, I didn't want to continue living my life the way it was being lived. And I think when I finally understood that and I kind of said it out loud, it was actually my little sister and my best mate were like, okay, I think now's the time to get some help. Like you've carried this situation, you've took the brunt of it all. Now it's time that you need to take care of yourself. So yeah, got help. Had, like I said, I had 4 therapy sessions. Pandemic hit, more pressure. Start a podcast, and yeah, it was. I think it's just proof that, you know, kind of getting out of your comfort zone and opening up and admitting those vulnerabilities can change your life, because it has worked for me. Um, but that's kind of why it started. I've kind of forgot the question now.
It was
I've
just like
kind of
the
forgot.
it's cool. It's a good
I don't even
story.
think the question was related.
Yeah, I was hooked either way. No, you were answering. I was just like, what was the inspiration and the driving force for it? And then like,
Yeah.
what was your initial like, all right, I'm going for it. Like, this is what I'm doing. Have the setup. I got my waffles ready to waffle with
Yeah.
everybody. Like, I was wondering about
I
that.
had nothing, to be fair. I had like I think I've recorded my first episode on a iPhone headphone in my literally in my dining room, and then as it kind of started to develop, I developed like a real passion for it. Like, oh my god, I love this.
Yeah.
Um, and then that's when I started to buy like the microphones and stuff like that. But it's I think the beauty of it is like if you don't like it, you can just delete it. Like if you don't like what you've said, you can just re-record it. Like I just like it gives you this kind of complete freedom of speech just for you to be who you are, especially if you've got like mental challenges and stuff like that. Like it's an outlet. It's like a diary entry for me. Like when I listen back to like certain things like that I've put out, it's like, oh wow, do you know what? You were really struggling when you did that. Now look at where you are. So I think that's the kind of like that what keeps me going because it's 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 worked wonders so far. So I'm excited to see where it takes me like for another year.
My wife was like, well, you have to spend money to make money because I was the same way. Like I bought all this equipment and I just do it like basic. And I was like, oh yeah, I need this stuff. And she like knew I liked it so much because you got to put in good product if people
Yeah,
want it. Like
definitely.
look at you being bougie with the AirPods. Like you're making it, man. You made it.
These
And
were a
it's
Christmas present.
to
I can't
yourself.
afford these myself. Yeah. To Taylor, love Taylor. I wonder what this is.
Yeah, shit.
For me?
Now, it's funny that you say like you can just delete it and edit it, but you've done like a live show before for the podcast, right?
Yeah, that was probably the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done
Yeah.
in my life. I mean, it's all right for like Instagram lives and stuff, like because you can just cut them off, like that's
Yeah. See ya.
But yeah, I had the opportunity to record like a bit of a talk show style thing, and then like at the end of it, like I had like a live like acoustic singer who obviously played the show out. But yeah, it's just like bucket list stuff that
Yeah.
just by opening up, being myself, and kind of trusting the process has given me like these incredible like opportunities. And I advise anyone to do it. Like it's genuinely it's given me like such a sense of freedom and confidence that I'm worth something, which I think especially lads and like men like struggle like to get to that point sometimes. So yeah, I'm very grateful.
Yeah, that's definitely on the bucket list for me. And again, when I was like telling you and I was telling other people, like my wife, I was like looking up mental health podcasts. But again, like I knew what I was getting into. I was like, there's going to be other mental health podcasts. Hopefully, mine's a little bit different. And I feel like me and you were a lot the same. But you were one of the first people I saw, and I was like, oh, this guy fucking rocks. And I liked your whole formula, like what you were doing.
Thank you.
I think you're like in the same ballpark at me with like not long episodes. Like you just have like good little to the meat.
Yeah.
Like you have no like boring appetizers. You're like, you know what? Let's go right into the meat. We're gonna take care of this interview and just we're gonna have a waffle.
Yeah.
So this is
But
like
you
a
know what?
great.
That's what I can't stand about the whole mental health thing. I think this is why, from my side, why I connected with you straight away. It was like mental health is very, very serious. It is, it takes lives. It is a very, very serious thing. But when things are that serious, I switch off. I kind of I get a little bit intimidated by it. Wherever if I'm talking to someone who's having a laugh about, stuff that winds them up, that trigger their anxiety, or I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm laughing at it because I struggle
Yeah.
on a daily basis with my anxiety and PTSD, but it doesn't have to be that serious. And when you have two guys like us, like laughing and joking about this kind of stuff, that's what I would relate to. That's what would inspire me to open up about how I was feeling. And I'm kind of in that mindset of like being what I needed, like being that person that I needed, like when I was going through all this stuff to encourage me, like, yeah, life is shit. Life is hard. It's going to deal you some horrible cards. It doesn't define you. You can still go out and achieve such incredible things, whether you're facing like a mental or a physical disability. Like, and it's the same like with yourself. Like, there's no bullshit. It's like, this is what we're talking about. Here's the topic. bam, what you see is what you get. And I think that's what relates to so many more people.
You take so much medication and you got to have your own medication, and mine's laughter and yours is the same. Like you need
100%.
comedic performances in your life, and
Yeah.
it might be dark, but it's like, I need this. And some people don't get it, which I think is really funny. Like I'll make a dark joke and they're like, ugh. And I'm like, oh, my bad. And that will happen to me a lot. And yeah, I just love it so much. There was like a time where my wife texted me on, it was like National Bipolar Day, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, happy National Bipolar Day. I was like, what are you gonna get me for both of my moods? And she was like, she was dying laughing about it. And like, I like doing the comedic route for mental health because it lures people in, because they're like, oh,
Yeah.
like I don't have to be scared or nervous about it, because like, in my head, when I used to go to like assemblies at like high school, and a guy came in and chatted, and it was like about like bullying or drugs or whatever, and if it was boring, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. But if some guy was like out there doing like magic or like doing like a routine, I'm like, whoa, I love pop-up books.
But
Like, you know what I mean?
Remember that though.
Yeah.
Like, that is more memorable. And I think for situations like trauma and stuff like that, like I'm 99% sure like I probably would not be sat here if it wasn't for my dark humor, kind of laughing through awkward situations. Like I'm that person like you do not sit next to at a funeral, or which I imagine you're that person too.
Yeah, yeah. I always tell people like the funniest thing that me and my wife do all the time. And you guys don't have open caskets at your
Oh,
over there,
absolutely
right?
not.
Yeah,
No.
we do. Did you know that?
No.
Oh yeah, we do.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah. If they're not bad, they're in an open casket if they
Yeah.
want to, or if it's a closed casket, if it's too bad, and then they do
Yeah.
like the cremation. But so like the thing that people usually say is like when they're doing the procession, they go up and say hi, and they look at the body, and they always turn to someone and they go, "Huh, he looks good though," you know. And it's like my wife was like, "No, they don't look good. Like, why do you keep saying that?" So we do that when we're at a funeral. Like I'll turn to her, I'm like, "Yeah, he looks good though, huh?" And she like, we're like, but yeah, I found that super interesting. You guys don't have that. Why do you think that is?
No.
It's just fucked up.
I just think we're not fucking weird over here. Maybe.
It's so true though.
That's a lie. We are fucking probably the biggest weirdos over here. But yeah, no, like I don't know if it's like a cultural thing. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I want to be like a Viking one where they just like set my body on fire and throw
It's
me in
like
the
a bow and
water.
arrow.
Yeah, that'd be way cooler than just my dead body just in a casket. Yeah, that's super
Well,
interesting.
this took a turn.
Yeah, oh yeah, doctor. We're going from life to death real quick.
I sometimes think about like my funeral song though, and I don't know if everyone else does this, but do you know, I think there was like an episode of Friends where I don't know if it was like Ross or someone pretended he didn't pretend to die, like something happened, and they did a funeral just to see who would turn up.
Okay. My wife's a huge Friends fan, so she's gonna tell me exactly what you're talking about.
I would find that interesting, like who would actually turn up to your funeral.
Yeah. It's what was it? There was always like one of those questions like, do you like Coke or Pepsi? It was like, would you rather have no one show up at your funeral or no one show up at your wedding? And it was like, I think that was the question, but it was like super interesting. And it's like I would love to see who would show up to my funeral just to see, because like sometimes I'm like I don't want to go just because of my anxiety. I hate going to them, but everyone hates going to them. Like no one's like, oh, this thing's gonna fucking rock.
I don't know. There's some people here, like my nan's sister is one of those people. You know, like she met them once in the post office or something.
Yeah.
Oh, so she'll go. She'll send flowers. Go to the funeral, and like you're weird. Stop that.
I want to show up to someone's random like funeral and just like, oh, I loved hanging out with him. He was a good guy, and just be like, who was that? Like, like I want like people to do that for me. Like everyone to wear like a superhero costume when they show up or some shit.
But like I feel like stuff like that, like people need to be celebrated. Like I don't want all the doom and it's the same with like I just said with the whole mental health thing. Like I don't want all the doom and gloom. Like the reason why I'm running with this podcast and stuff like that is the fact that when that day eventually comes at my funeral, I want people to be like, do you know what? It's sad that he's gone, but look what he's done.
Yeah.
Look at the photos, look at the memories, look at the videos, like look at what he's achieved. Like I'm not into this like nice house, nice car, you know, like don't get me wrong, they're nice things, but at the same time, like you can't take it with you. I want the photos, I want the memories, I want the people dressed as Spider-Man at my funeral, you know. So if one of us goes first, I promise you I will be at your funeral dressed Maybe not Spider-Man because I don't have the body shape for spandex. Any others, fine.
And I'll just bring a bunch of waffles and just dump them. I'll open up the lid and just dump them in. like, who was that guy? Like, I don't know. He was in for 20 minutes. Yeah. Oh man, that's so funny. Yeah, I love the different cultural like aspects of it. I definitely want to back up a little bit with your mental health. You said you had 4 therapists or 4 therapy sessions. Can you explain that a little bit? Because like when I went to therapy, I went to one therapist, didn't work out. Boom, boom, boom. I went down the line until I found somebody. Was that it, or were you getting it like different angles?
So I was very lucky to get the person that I did. So there was a woman who was kind of like our family therapist when everything was happening with my mom, who knew the situation, and she was kind of just like there for us if we needed her. And then randomly she started working like one day a week at the place that my mum was, and she caught me off guard one day and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I don't know whether just because it was a friendly face that I hadn't seen for a while, I just broke down. And she knew straight away. And it was so nice because I didn't have to go back into everything. Yeah. I didn't have to explain all the whole situation. So I feel like I was very, very lucky. I feel if I'd gone down the whole proper route of therapy, I probably would have been waiting till at least summer to be seen, because I feel like there's a bigger need for obviously for the whole mental health situation at the moment over here. But I think it's globally, to be fair.
Yeah.
So I was very, very fortunate to get the person that I did. But yeah, had 4 sessions and then cheers, Corona.
Yeah.
But it worked out. It worked out in the end. So
are you still talking to someone virtually at all or no?
So through this whole kind of mental health journey that I'm on, and with the podcast and stuff, one of my, I would now class him as one of my best mates, who he's now turning into my business partner, is a psychiatrist. So every now and again, pick your friends.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. So every now and again, when I'm having these kind of conversations of like, "Hey mate, do you want to jump on and record an episode?" I'm not recording episodes.
Yeah. What a move. What a move. I love it.
I hope he's not listening to this.
Oh, probably not.
It is like these kind of conversations, and it's just that gentle little kick every now and again that I need, just to be like, no, what you're doing is right. You know, life is hard, but when, these thoughts and stuff like pop into my head, he's like that reminder to be like, "Do you know what? You're not your thoughts." Everyone has random thoughts. Everyone hears a kid screaming in like a shopping mall. I'm like, "Oh my God, will that kid shut up?" Like if that was my kid, I'd punch it or something.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks it, but you're not going to go and do it. So it's stuff like that. Depending. So it's that. So I'm very fortunate with the people who I've surrounded myself with. But to be fair, even conversations like this is like an outlet. It's like just feeling like I'm being heard and listening to like your story and stuff. It just, I can't tell you the impact that it has. It genuinely has changed my life.
The internet is like the greatest thing in the world and the most terrible thing in the world, but it's like stuff this that makes me like, oh, this is like awesome. I love this so much, because I still talk to my therapist via Zoom or whatever. She uses like a different program. I'm like, come on, get with the times.
Oh my God, it's 2021.
Yeah, seriously. She's definitely listening to this. She always like catches up. She's like, "Oh, I heard you talking shit." And like when I talk to my therapist, it's pretty much this. Like I get to do this, and it took me a while to find the right one. And I think she's like younger than me, which makes me feel weird, because it's like I don't know if you've seen the movie 50-50 with Joseph Gordon-Levitt when he has cancer, and then like his psychologist is younger than him. And it's funny because she doesn't get a lot of my references, and but she's a doll. I love her so much. But yeah, shout out to the therapy, right?
100%.
I feel like everyone should go get it, even if they don't think they have mental health, but don't get it if they don't need it that much. Like once a year. Like I remember, I think Howard Stern was saying that he has a therapist that he would see, but now he's got it back to just once a year, just to unload on. I think that's like one of the smartest things you can do.
Definitely. And to be fair, it's one of the things that like my mate says. It's the fact that, you don't just go to therapy if the shit has hit the fan. you can go to therapy to stop the shit hitting the fan. And it's stuff like, it's that kind of mentality that has really kind of been imprinted on me since, like, having conversations like this, that, yeah, okay, I notice certain things now that I kind of protect myself. So, and it has gone through, like, well, this is a kind of therapy, but I'd recommend it to anyone.
100%.
100%.
Yep. No, 100. I feel like
Oh my God.
we all do
Oh my
that.
God.
Everyone in the mental health's like 100%, 100%. Can we either 0 or 100%?
I feel like that was like some weird.
Yeah,
I
man.
don't know what that
Yeah,
was.
and you're in the future right now. What time is it over there? You're like
It
6 hours ahead.
is 1837.
That is 6:30.
Yes,
So yeah, I know the military time. I just don't know the Celsius from Fahrenheit.
No, and I struggle with this because obviously now my work people are,
Oh yeah,
they talk in, what is it? I
Fahrenheit.
think we're Celsius over here, and I think
Yep.
you guys talk in Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So then they're like, "Oh my God, it's like 80 degrees." I'm like, "Oh my God, that is boiling hot." I'm there packing shorts. No, it's not. They're lying.
Well, 80. Oh yeah, right. But 80 degrees Fahrenheit is like a great summer day. Like
Yeah.
like I know it. I feel like we're always doing stuff wrong. Like we had to like change everything to be different, but like I'm like Celsius is way too confusing for me because the numbers don't add up to like what it looks like. Like 0 degrees Fahrenheit is like cold. Like that's it. Like 0 is where like I don't know. It's super
You know
funny.
what else annoys me that you do?
Yeah.
You always put. This isn't you. This is
No. This is where we waffle.
Whole
This
of
is
America.
This is the
This
waffle
is not
section.
all of you. You put the month before the date. Why?
That makes the most sense. I actually heard this on an episode that you had with somebody, and I forget who it was, and I was like, I can't wait to bring this up with him because the months happen first. Like it's like January, February, March. Like that's the first thing, and then the dates come because the month is not ended yet. So like you guys do it the date first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me because I know like I get the countdown thing, but like you got to make sure everyone knows you're in the month of May. Like it's like. Okay, it's today's Star Wars.
Okay. Yeah.
Today's Star Wars Day. Like, do you know that? Like today's Star Wars Day.
Yeah.
So how would you say it?
May the 4th of May be with you.
Okay.
I'm joking. I am not that bad. I'm not that bad.
No, I get mad. No, I'm just kidding.
it.
But no, I like this type of stuff because I got a bunch too, and we're gonna do this right now. All right? Yeah, but like May the 4th be with you. So May was the first one. So I'll take the victory on that one.
With you. Yeah, okay, you can have that one.
Yeah, it's not the 4th of May. Yeah, right? I don't understand why. It sounds correct when you say it, but when I read it, it's weird. So the way you spell like words like flavor, it's FLAOUR, right?
Yeah.
Why?
No.
No,
Flavor.
FLAVOUR.
FLAVOUR. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, because don't you do this with colour as well? Like you miss out the U on colour.
Yes, color. It's color, flavor. Yeah, I know there's a bunch more, but I see it and like it does kind of make sense in a way, but it's always like irked me. I'm like, why is that?
How'd you say aluminium?
Oh, that's aluminum.
No.
Yeah, aluminium.
Aluminium.
See, I like, so you guys and Australians, I love. Like your accents are fucking great. I try to do it, and it's like I love like you have a couple water, mate. Like I just fucking like all the shit you say. It's fucking like I love the word how you use mate. Mate's a great word. Or like go have a pint. I think that's wicked cool when you guys like, oh mate, you want to go have a pint? Like I love that shit. Like, but then is there one that you use? It's called bloke.
Yeah.
Like he's a good bloke. How do you spell that?
It's top bloke.
Is it
BLOKE?
Okay, I was spelling it like the word cloak, but with a B. And
It would work. It would
right.
It would say the same.
One of the mates. And so I always love like running into like people from the UK because I always try to like be that touristy guy where I like say certain things because we get it too out in Boston. Like because my accent is like very distinct from. So there's like New York and Boston. You're moving to New York, so like you can hear ours but you'll like watch TV and everyone kind of has like a normal American accent, but you'll pick up because New York is a very hub city, so you're gonna have to pick up a lot of different dialects and like.
It's a struggle already just being on Zoom with them.
Yeah.
I have to really concentrate sometimes. Like bad. So if just to rewind a little bit, because this is stuck in my head now. So if you were going to the pub with a mate, what would you call that? Like, would you be like, "Oh, do you fancy going for a few pints?"
Oh,
What
fancy's
would you
another
say?
one. Hey, would you like to fancy? No, like, oh, you want to you want to go to the bar for a beer? Like, I'm saying it, it sounds ridiculous. Like,
No, but I find it really interesting.
yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, like, well, first off, like, we don't pronounce our R's in Boston, so it sounds more ridiculous. But like, if I was like a Midwestern, like American, it would be like, do you want to go to the bar and get a couple beers? Like, you know what I mean? But like, we go like, oh, dude, you want to go to the bar and have a couple beers, guy? Like, that's what like people say around here. Yeah,
That's like when you go to bar.
the bar. But we do have pubs, but we don't call them all pubs. Like,
Yeah.
there's a pub where I grew up, and it's called the Irish Pub. But like, you know what I mean?
And they're the best pubs, Irish pubs. Ah,
And you
special. Dublin has such a special place in my heart. So I'm actually quite relieved to know that they have them over there.
Oh yeah, especially over here, we have a lot of Irish, a lot of Catholic Irish live around here. So most people you run into will be Irish. New York, you'll probably get a lot of Italians, and but again, New York's a very hub city.
Yeah.
And but like I love British humor, like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Like I love that. Like I got Tim the Enchanter right there. Like that was like
I was gonna say your humor is very British.
really.
Like straight away, yeah. And I think that even when like we had like the first like catch up, like I noticed it like straight away. So I think that's another reason why like we clicked. I was like, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I love the whole like shot
Top
like
bloke.
like yeah, dude. I just want to be someone's bloke and mate. Like when you wrote me an email, you're like, all right, man, I'll see you, mate. And I was like, fuck yeah. I'm someone's mate. Yeah, this is all I needed in life. Yeah, like Shaun of the Dead, like those types of movies. I like, oh man, they just cracked me up. Like there was a scene in Shaun of the Dead, and he's like, oh, kill the queen, and he's like, what? But it was like Queen, the band was playing, and he was talking about, and you know what I mean? Like, I feel like most Americans wouldn't get that joke because like they always forget about that. But I just like that was like so smart to me, and I was like, that's so funny.
How do you feel as Americans? How do you feel about the Beatles?
So I have a buddy who is like a diehard Beatles fan. I respect them and like them, but I don't go out of my way to turn them on. Like every time they play, I go to my buddy and I go, Lucy. No, he's like, Strawberry Fields Forever. Like I just say that like out of context all the time. But like, yeah, like they're legends. I respect them, but like I never bought their albums. I never like, they're not on my like, I don't follow them on Spotify, let's say.
I get quite a lot of abuse for this because I feel like they're quite overrated.
Yeah.
I appreciate what they've done for like music and you know the movement they did is like phenomenal, like huge respect for that. But like yourself, like I would be listening to Kesha before I'd be listening to the Beatles.
Bro, Kesha's my jam.
Well,
I swear to God.
I feel like we're like best friends. We just
man. You actually look like one of my good friends, and after this is over, I can't wait to show him. I might show his girlfriend.
It's actually me.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Just takes off one mask, but then takes off another. And it's like I'm both. Yeah, Kesha, man. I listened to Kesha's latest two albums, and when I like 2019, 2020, I was like super depressed. Like I like straight up love Kesha. Like Here Comes the Change, fucking High Road. Like those are bops, dude. I listen to my jams. I would love to just talk to her. And I was supposed to go see her, and then COVID hit.
It's ruined everything.
It really has. Like,
but it will happen. It will happen. She will be on the podcast one day.
She has her own podcast.
Throw it out there. Isn't it about like scary stuff?
No, she's talked about mental health too, because she's very open about mental health. She had a person on, Laura Jane Grace from the band Against Me, and they talked about like her being trans and like the mental health behind that. So like that was super interesting. But yeah, Kesha's a normal. What's a female bloke? A floke?
Oh,
it stumped you.
What is a female bloke?
Like when a girl goes out, she's like, "Oh, mate." She doesn't like, what do girls say to other girls? Like over here, they're like, "Yes, queen, let's go get up there." Like that's what they're saying.
I don't think they do that.
No.
Not yes, anyway. I think it's like babe and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, come on,
Like,
babe.
hey, babe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
What
like it's like a very Essex kind of thing to say.
Yeah, that's another thing we stole from you. There's
Yeah.
a town in Massachusetts called Essex. Like I told you earlier, like I was born or raised in part of Boston called Dorchester, which
Yeah.
you don't pronounce it like that probably.
Dorchester.
Dorchester. Yeah, Dorchester. Like that's
Dorchester.
yeah, yeah. And like and they would call it just Dot. And then like the people that lived in Dorchester were called Dot Rats. So if you want
Yeah.
to take that over and start calling people
what a
Dot
lovely name.
Rats, yeah, just a bunch of Dot Rats running around.
See, rats over here are quite like a negative thing. Is that a similar thing over there?
Oh yeah, but we turn
Oh, yeah,
negatives
okay.
into positives. Like that's what
Like
we do.
Pitbull.
Yeah,
That's what Pitbull does.
yeah, turn a negative to positive, and we love pit bulls out here. Well, we don't really.
Oh
People-
my god. Oh, okay.
What? What do you
I
guys
was
say?
about to. I love Pitbull.
Oh, I have a pit bull.
Oh no, I was talking about the rapper.
Yeah, she raps. No, Pitbull's got some good jams.
Wow.
Like those are artists like again I wouldn't follow, but if you put it on, like I'll dance to.
Huge respect for that man.
Now what did you think about like U2? Do you like U2?
Again,
Yeah, that's
I
same.
know some of their songs. They've got big songs, but what I have a problem with U2 about is I didn't ask for that album.
Yep.
Still to this day, if I'm listening to music on Apple Music, one of those songs will pop up and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
This isn't mine. I didn't put this. And it's that. Still to this day. No one asked for that.
No. And
I feel like they lost that. They ruined it for themselves at that point.
Yeah, hopefully they got paid $1 trillion for that because that is
Well,
a
they probably did, didn't they? Though.
Yeah, ballsy move to do to your people's phones. Like what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
and it's funny because it's like oh I have U2 on my phone and they'll be like U2, and it's just a constant cycle of just asking people U2. You know
That was awful.
that was on the
bad.
spot. That was on the spot.
Oh.
But that would happen, right? Like oh U2. I love dad jokes, so I feel like that was right.
Yeah,
up
I was
there.
about to say that was the definition of a dad joke.
Yeah.
That was.
You can use it. You too can use it.
Thank you.
Who was like the American band out there for either you or for like everybody? Like what is like people like dying for?
I feel like at the minute it's bands like 21 Pilots. I feel are very big over here from an American band point of view. Are they even a band? Yeah,
I don't even know who they are.
Panic at the Disco and like people like that. I think.
Yeah, they were cool like probably like 5 years ago over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything gets late over there. I feel like we steal stuff, then we
Yeah.
give it to you back late.
I don't know if I'm American. I feel like the Foo Fighters are still quite big over here.
So Foo Fighters that's another band for me. I respect them. People love them out here, but I don't go out of my way to put them on. But every time they're on, I'm like, oh yeah, these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Like Dave Grohl's great. Like when he was with Nirvana's great. But yeah, with Foo Fighters, they're just like they're like exquisite, like steaks or something. I'm like, you know what? I'm not in the mood for that right now.
I feel like it's very loud music.
Yeah.
Like I went to a festival, me and my sister, and I think they were headlining one of the days, and it was just very shouty. I was like, oh, like imagine if like after like 3 or 4 songs, that would really hurt your voice.
Yeah, drugs, man. You just keep going.
Yeah.
You just whatever
It's
you
just-
do.
But I mean, each their own. Each their own. I'd probably be the same at a Pitbull concert, so I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not one to judge.
Yeah, we need to go to a Pitbull concert
Oh
together.
my god, I would try. Do you know what? I actually went to Vegas once, and he was playing in Vegas, and no one would come with me, even to a point where I asked the hotel receptionist to come with me, and she still said no.
Wow. I feel like there's like a stigma.
Desperation.
There's a stigma behind like music that if you like it, everyone's like, oh, you like
Yeah,
that.
I don't like music snobs. Like,
Yeah.
I would sit in there, I'd be like, no, I don't like that band. I don't like this. But, you know, like if you listen, like if I said like I listen to Pitbull, they'll be like, oh God, what do you listen to that for?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, because it puts a smile on my face. That's why. So yeah, I'm not a fan of music snobs.
Yeah, and like the music gatekeepers from like before your time, they're like, oh, you don't know nothing about Led Zeppelin.
Oh
You're like,
yeah.
all right, man, sorry, man.
Yeah,
Let me give you
sorry.
my Led Zeppelin membership card.
Yes. Do you want the t-shirt back?
Yeah. Pitbull's got a great song with the Yin Yang Twins. I think it's Shake. What is it? It's a good, I'll send it to you. But yeah, Pitbull and the Yin Yang Twins I like a lot. Yeah,
It's just like it just reminds me of like good times, like being on holiday. It's just an instant good mood for me.
that's
That
another one.
is.
Holiday. You say
See.
holiday and you say university for college.
What would you say? Do you not use the word holiday?
We
Oh no, use
well
vacation.
vacation, but we get holidays off. So say we have Christmas, Thanksgiving. That's a holiday for us. What do you call that?
So I would call that either, yeah, probably like a bank holiday, which is a funny story because we've just had one in the UK yesterday, which so I went out and had a few beers on Sunday night because obviously it's a bank holiday Monday, you don't have work.
Yeah.
Forgetting my boss is American. So
Oh
obviously
yeah.
on Monday, they're like, are you okay? I'm hungover, like, yes, why? And then I had to sit on a Zoom call, like with my blanket wrapped around me, like,
Uh,
I'm fine. Yeah,
what's
that's annoying.
what's the go-to beers out there?
So I'm a Budweiser fan,
Okay, Bud
and I
Heavies.
know what's that?
That's what we call like regular Budweiser, like the white and red can.
Yeah, yeah.
We call them Bud
So
Heavies because there's a Bud Light. We just call them Bud Heavies.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I should know that. I actually went to the Budweiser factory last time I was in America. I even got a key ring. It was great.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, so Bud Heavies, or I like a Peroni, which is like an Italian beer,
Yep.
very strong, very dangerous after a few. But yeah, what about you? What's your go-to?
It depends what I'm in the mood for. For beers, I just usually do Bud Lights. I'm not on the
Yeah.
I'm not on the Bud Diesels. I used to drink those a while ago, but I'm not into like the craft beers scene. I don't know if that's a big thing out there now. Like, over here.
Massive.
Oh, it's so
huge.
annoying. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, do you want the hoppy, troppy, underground purple monkey splitzer? And I'm like, dude, like just fucking fuck off. But what I like,
An umbrella?
yeah, it's like ridiculous. But my drink of choice of like I don't really drink anymore just because like I'm trying to stay in shape and
Yeah.
is PP juice, Patron and pineapple. Like that will make you go 0 to 60
Ooh.
real quick. So
I've never heard of that. I don't think we had. That's the thing over here.
well, I
Do you know
just
what
made
else actually? Oh, you
What?
made it.
yeah no I just put it together. It's like Patron tequila and just pineapple juice together. Like you can make it at home.
I have a kind of like a love-hate thing with tequila.
I wake up naked every time I drink tequila, no matter how much
It's
it is
just-
or not.
It's yeah. And recently, the Americans were like, "Oh, yeah, when you get here, we're going to go for like margaritas, this, that, and the other." So I thought I'd try one because we're allowed to go to bars now here.
Yeah.
And I will send you the video of me drinking this tequila, literally not tequila, like margarita.
Yeah.
One sip, and I was like, so I don't know how that's gonna.
Well, tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo, and you got to drink some margaritas. Well, people that listen to us Cinco de Mayo probably already passed, but you got to drink those on then.
I feel like I need to. When I'm there, I'll get up to speed. I'm sure there's just probably the way British people make them.
Yeah,
It's just the salt around the glass. It's just very.
oh, you don't have to get the salt. I don't get the salt on it.
Oh yeah, it's just there was a little bit. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, not a fan.
Now, when I was out into the UK years ago, I felt like different things tasted different. Like I'm a big Sprite guy over here, but the Sprite over there tasted totally different. I think it was because like the factories were like not. It was just like I was very upset.
Yeah.
And it was like the first thing I drank off the plane. I was like, all right, here we go. And then we went to London, and those double decker buses don't give a fuck about you if
Oh,
you're
yeah,
across.
no.
Dude, they do not stop. They do not stop.
Nope.
They will take you. They will take any American out if needed. And I had to like double dutch to get across the street. I was like, "Do I go now? Do I go now?" And I can just
They always
bomb it.
remind me of like like when you see in films and there's like flies stuck to the screen
Mhm.
and like the windscreen wipers are like going. That's what London buses are like.
Oh, man, yeah. If anyone that's listening to this
No
goes to
stopping them.
London, look out for them. They will put you in a body bag quick. No questions asked. Sorry, mate. Boom, boom, and just drive right
Yeah.
over you.
No open top casket with that one.
Yeah, that's no way, no way. The UK is interesting to me because I feel like every time I'm online or looking up mental health stuff, it's always stemmed from the United Kingdom. Now, is that because you guys have a better opening about it, like it's more talked about, or is it not talked about enough, and that's why there's people like you trying to put it out there? Because I feel like that's a big difference over here. Because I don't see a lot of people opening up, let alone males. Like it's like when I look for interviews or look to talk to people, finding another male to open up about it is tough.
Yeah.
And I just think that's the whole masculinity thing. So I kind of get that. But the whole like UK being more vocal about it was super interesting to me.
I think, I mean, I think we are at the forefront of it a little bit, but I think it's because we've got a quite dry and quite witty way about us in the
Mm-hmm.
UK, where which makes it easier for us to have these kind of serious conversations. Um, but I still think we've got like a huge way to go, like massive, like way to go. Um, but I don't know. Like for me, I never did it until I was at rock bottom
Mm-hmm.
and felt like if I don't start talking about it, then I dread to think where I'm this is going to leave me. Um, but to be fair, I think even having these kind of conversations and even the stuff on like the podcast, like, I would never talk to my lab mates about
Yeah.
like my mental health, this, that, and the other. Whereas now, like it's a completely different story. I could sit for like we'll go to the pub and have a few pints, and it'd be like, oh God, like my anxiety's been really bad this week because of this reason, this reason. So I'd like to think from stuff like, like your and mine podcast that it is sparking that conversation. And I'm hoping that as we continue to grow, as we kind of continue to force it, not force the conversation, but like make it more relatable,
Mm-hmm.
that is just going to continue to kind of ripple out. Um, but yeah, to be honest, in answer to your question, I don't know,
Yeah,
to be honest.
it's one of those anomalies that just happen. It's
Yeah.
just the way of life and all that. And I agree with you on the whole like mini conversations because it's like oh man, my shoulder's been hurting me. I have an injury. Blah blah blah. It's like I can't
Yeah.
really move it. Then you're like, hey, I'm having an anxiety attack and I can't stop looking away. And everyone's like, oh, you'll be
Mm.
fine. Just have another drink. And then you're like looking like you get beat up by a ghost at the bar all drunk, and then you're like, all
Yeah.
right, and just be then you're just ridiculous for the rest of the night. It's tough, but it is good to talk about it. I'm glad to like meet so many people like you that are so open and trying to get
Yeah.
the word out because it can translate. It's like yeah, we have different accents, we have different ways of living, but mental health is mental health. Like
Yeah.
it is good to just put it out there, and
And I
I
think this is why as well, like with kind of like the guests that I've had on, like I've been very lucky to get the people that I have on
yeah
and to have these kind of conversations. And this is going to sound like name drops and like a
ah
real kind of
go
big
for
headed
it
thing, like, but like to have people like Call in the Gang
yeah
and like, there's a show over here in the UK called like EastEnders, which is obviously massive. And to have these kind of conversations with people whose music I've genuinely listened to, who I've watched on TV, talk about their mental health, talk about grief, talk about like, oh, you look at these people and think they've got the most confident people in the world having a waffle with me about like, yeah, no, I struggle with this, I struggle with that. And I feel like it just proves it doesn't matter where you're from in the world or what your job is or how much money you have in the bank. We're all human. We're all feeling these emotions. And I think that's why the stuff that we do is so important, not only for like other people's mental health, but for our own
hmm
as well, which it's not even selfish. I don't know why I was going to lead with that, but it's so important for us to have these conversations because it kind of validates our feelings and like, yeah, like it makes me feel a little bit normal having this conversation with someone who gets it. Like if I know for a fact now, if I was to drop you like an email or anything, be like, oh mate, I'm like, I've got this going on, blah, 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 you'd understand it. Like, and it's
yeah
that about the mental health conversation that I absolutely love because to use football as an example, like English football, like the proper
soccer
proper version. Like,
the diving teams.
don't. Oh, oh, okay. I just got that. That's
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah.
Yes, you can have that.
All right.
But like everyone would sit down and have a conversation about football. Like everyone would kind of be able to pick up on it at some point. So that's what I love about having conversations like this, because I'm not a massive football fan, but when it comes to like mental health and stuff, like everyone can pick up at some point, because everyone has felt either anxious or sad or, lonely, or they've felt themes. No one 100% understands someone else's journey, because obviously they're not going through it.
Mhm.
But I like how there's a level of like compassion and empathy when it comes to having these kind of conversations now. So yeah, we just got to keep going with it.
It's funny. Me and you both are very to be wary of like being self confident and like being like, yeah, I am doing a good thing. It's like you had a preference to be like, oh, I feel selfish, but it's like, no, you're not selfish.
Yeah.
Like we are helping people. But I also noticed too with like mental health podcasts, and like I'm very self aware with everything, and it's good because like you have great guests, I have great guests, you being a great guest now, it's like a big loop, and it's because it's like it's the self awareness behind it is like we are a mental health podcast, and it's like still taboo about it. Like there's a million
Yeah.
other podcasts about movies. Like TV, a bunch of stuff, and they're great shows. They can be great shows, but there's a lot. And yeah, there's a good handful of mental health podcasts, but they're all kind of different. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
professional ones, and I get my professional help at the doctors. Like they can explain it to me. But if I want to go learn more about PTSD or bipolar 1, I can go and search that and listen to it. But
Yeah.
something like us, it's good because people want to laugh and like want to have fun and get into it. So
Yeah.
it is, I wouldn't say patronizing isn't the word, but people are, yeah, like empathetic to check it out, and they're
Yeah.
like, okay, and they feel confident. Are you like a liaison now for like mental health? Because I get a lot of DMs from people that like want to chat, but it's like a dicey road because they like ask for like help or suggestions. I'm like, hey, I'm not a professional. Like this works
Yeah.
for me. Like you should talk to someone like that. Do you get that a lot too?
It's very interesting that you said this. It was around February time. I fell into kind of like a trap of feeling that I had to be that person to fix
Yeah.
it all again. And I had to really I think I took about 2-3 weeks away from it all, just to kind of remind myself why I was doing it. I was doing it for me to kind of open up and have these conversations. And to some, I was kind of turned into like their therapist,
Yeah.
and to a point where I was then like, hey, haven't heard from you for a few days. Like, is everything okay? What's going on? And it
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay. For one, I'm overstepping boundaries with other people, kind of intruding on them. But at the same time, I wasn't giving myself that kind of time and that space to figure out what was going on for me, because I was distracting myself with what everyone else was going through. And that, where especially when it comes to a mental health podcast, or even a mental health like Instagram page or whatever you might be
Yeah.
doing, like unless you are in a professional role, you need to remember you are not their therapist. Like by all means, like point them in the right direction of like, there's so many incredible like charities and platforms and stuff like that get paid, and they have people like professional people who do this stuff. But I think just from personal experience, I have a tendency to involve myself and kind of like get emotionally invested in stuff, which then has a negative effect on my mental and physical health. So yeah, it's tough. I think you have to find the right balance.
Yeah, I definitely went that route, and I still kind of do a little bit, but I teeter on it because I'm like I feel bad because like I do care that you're
Yeah,
going through it, and I want to help you, but there's only so much I can do. So I do try to lead them to like, oh, did you try this and that? But then you talk to some people because we're all different. They're like, that doesn't work, or like they get very stubborn. And I'm like, all right, I
yeah,
don't know how to end this conversation because I don't want to
yeah,
seem like a dick, but I do care so much about you, and it's and like my therapist is the one who pointed it out. She was like, "Yeah, you got to be real careful of that." So I make sure to like do my disclaimer and all of that. And we
yeah,
talked about this the first meeting we had about like the social media aspect of mental health with the like Instagram accounts and especially the TikTok, which I like beat
yeah,
like a dead horse because it drives me nuts. It's like we have to break the stigma, and we're breaking it, but then these I'll just quote unquote say kids because I feel like everyone's younger than me,
yeah,
and they're like picking it back up and gluing it back together and presenting it like, oh, here's
yeah,
the broken stigma that we just brought back, and they'll compare themselves like, oh, like my anxiety is worse than yours, and then Instagram accounts are doing memes of like, you should do this to make yourself happy. And it's like, you don't know. Like, it's like, oh, drink some herbal tea. And then one girl's allergic to tea and dies. It's like, that sounds super stupid, but it's like, it's little things like
but it
that.
happens. Like you see it. And what, again, I'm speaking from personal experience here. Like I put a post out about like when I get like an anxiety attack, I compared it to like stubbing my toe or something like, and I get that instant like, ow, like, and then you laugh it off, like you kind of process it, you breathe. And they were very young, so I had to kind of really remind myself of like my audience and the way I was going to respond. But they told me I was wrong. That's not what anxiety's like.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm sorry. So one, are you me? No. And two, are you my doctor who diagnosed me with my anxiety disorder? No, you're not. So you should not be telling people that the way they feel is wrong just because you don't agree with it. It's like that I could talk about all day because it winds me up terrible.
Yeah. That's like a triple stack waffle with a bunch of syrup on. And it's funny. These kids want to be so different, but when they compare to like, you're not like me, so you must not have it. It's like, wait, you want to be different, but you don't realize everyone else is different. It's like, yeah, me and you might have anxiety, but certain triggers happen for me. I take different medication. Like the sun at 77 degrees could be different than when it's like 76. You know what I mean? Just a little, it's like butterfly. It's like butterfly effect shit. And it's like, and I'm petty as fuck. Like, you seem a lot nicer and jovial than me, but like I always tell people, I'm like, just because a guy has a mental health podcast, I always I say the things. I'm like, just because a guy does a mental health podcast doesn't mean I can't start some shit. So like people will reply to me, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna fucking expose these people, and I'll like go through like their Twitter, find like old things they said, and just like I won't like make fun of them or say like I'm better, but like I'll just be like, go fuck yourself, all right?
Yeah.
But like my wife's like, you gotta stop doing that. You're driving yourself crazy. But I'm like, I love being petty.
Yeah.
I was like, I love it.
Oh, believe me, mate. I think we're just gonna have to like just name it now. Like we'll just be best man at my wedding or something. I'm gonna call it now, right? But I am this petty. Like I've obviously had this huge opportunity since the podcast. I've now the UK starting to open it up, and like we're allowed to go to like we're allowed to like outside like drinks and dining and stuff. We're not allowed inside as of yet. And there's been certain scenarios the past 2 times that I've been for beers where people have accused me of lying about the opportunity and like going to New York and stuff. So I'm just like, do you know what? That's fine. Whatever. Like I don't have to explain myself. So in 2-3 weeks time, when I'm there in Times Square taking a photo, I'm going to tag them in that photo. I'm going to tag them in the photo and be like, I'm no Pinocchio.
Yeah. Isn't it funny that like we're deemed crazy, but then like you're like, these people are fucking crazy. It's very strange.
I'm diagnosed crazy.
Yeah.
But you can behave like that for free. Like you can behave like that like nobody's business.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate that people and like you feel like they're like gaslighting you or just something and like
mate, you don't tear, like you do not make yourself feel better by tearing other people down.
Yeah,
like,
it's unbelievable.
You just don't do it. And unfortunately, we're in this whole kind of like narcissistic, like egomaniac kind of generation at the minute where everyone needs to be doing better than other people. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
We're all here. Like, just stop comparing yourself to people. Like, just be happy with who you are. Do what you want to do. Like, I would have thought that this pandemic would have taught them something. And it hasn't. So I cannot wait to leave.
Yeah, that's great. And it's because it's like people are just sitting at home looking on Instagram. It's like, oh, they have that. I don't have this. That's why I'm like, I'm always supporting my friends because when they get big, I'm going to ride their coattails and be like, dude, I made you laugh all these years. I'm coming with. Yeah. Like, you got to like push people to do good. It's like, who doesn't root for the underdog story? Like, who roots for the bad guy? It's like I've rooted for Thanos a little bit because I understood what he was doing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
I did as well.
Yeah. It's like, I get it. I know what he's going for, but okay, for the sake of the movie, he's a piece of shit. Oh man, dude, I can't believe that we finally got to link up. I was so pumped that you said yes to this because, like, again, you're like, again, I don't know how old you are, but you're like my podcast, like big brother at this point because of the whole waffle thing. You're over in the UK.
I'm
You're
31.
Oh, I'm older than you. Fucking hear that? Big little brother.
I'll take that.
And like being over the pond. Do you guys like when they say that, like over the pond? Because it's not a pond.
I've started saying that, so I can't criticize anyone who does say that.
Yeah, it's
So.
And now this is the thing I try to ask all the people I talk to from the UK because my mom's obsessed with them and a lot of people over here are obsessed with them. What in the fuck do the royal family do over there?
Oh no!
Like
Don't do that.
What is their thing? Like what do they do? I don't get what they do. Like what? Why are they there? What do they do? And who all lives in that house?
Do you know what? I don't know.
See, no one knows. No one knows.
I don't know. And I actually sat and had this conversation the other day because I was just like, where did they come from? Like, who just decided that we needed a queen?
Yeah,
like, or a king. Like, who, like, I mean, obviously, I know that it's like, obviously, generations and generations and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, they make a good Netflix series. That's
like,
what they do.
Like, do they pay? Do they pay for anything? Like, do they have credit cards? Like, do they just own everything? Yeah,
I don't know.
Like, oh, I love that no one knows, and I think they just created it, and they were like, you know what, we're gonna be the pretend people, and we're just gonna pass it down. But
see
like,
what happens?
Yeah, my mom was like obsessed with Princess Diana. Like, I didn't understand why. And like, but then looking back, she was like a great person. Like this, they do great things. But then, like when I look at the big thing, I'm like, but what do they do? Like, what is the queen doing all day? I gotta come over there and start asking questions. Yeah, they're laughing to the bank with all their pounds.
That's on that big balcony, laughing.
Dude, they must just laugh at They must have golden toilets for real. And then,
no, but this is a fun fact. So I found this out the other day. That Andrex, the toilet paper like providers, have had the royal contract to provide them with toilet paper for like 20, 30 years. Probably might be longer.
Do they still have
That's a little fun fact. So I could tell you what toilet paper the royal family use, but I can't tell you what they do.
Exclusive information right here. They take that to the bank, take that to the toilet. I just get... And you can't even ask the guards what's going on. You show up and they just stand there. Yeah. No one knows a goddamn thing at what they do. And it's beautiful. They got a beautiful mansion or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, props to them.
Fair play.
Yeah, dude.
I think if I was around at that time, I'd probably do the same thing.
Straight up. I would
just to see what happened.
Yeah. Back in the day, I'm like, yeah, do it. I'll work with you and just ride their coattails. Like, keep pushing them. They had friends that do it. Now they have Americans infiltrating the family and shit. Like, dude, it's getting good.
Oh, don't go there. It's literally every day there is something going on with all that. And it's just like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Why are you still talking about this?
I know. It seems like your press is a lot worse than our press. Like, we have TMZ, but I see, like, the British tabloids just seem like they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Bunch of wankers, am I right, dude?
Wankers.
Oh man, this has been such a pleasure talking with you. So I usually do this with my guests at the end of the show. I like to ask you about like 3 things that you're grateful for. They can be like the little things in life, maybe a couple goofy things, but what would your 3 be?
So number 1, grateful for Lego. Do you know what? On this whole mental health journey, right? The only thing when everyone was like talking about coping mechanisms and like, you know, like the websites and everything, like, oh, try meditating, try and going for a run, try and do all this shit that I don't want to do. Lego calms me the fuck down. When I'm really bad, it literally is an escape. Like I'm there following like a routine, like a book, like going through it all. Like around my house, I don't have actually any in front of me to show you, but I don't have like ornaments or anything like around my house. Like I have little bits of Lego sets.
Like straight up Legos.
Yeah. Like I've got, what did I do last week? Because my anxiety was bad. The Friends set.
Really? My brother's a huge Lego guy back in the day. I thought you meant the Waffle Company, Legos. Like Lego My Ego. Do you not have Legos out there? No, there's a waffle company out here called Lego. It's called Lego My Eggo. Like that's what
no, like actual like little plastic bricks.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Legos, but then we have like it's spelled Leggo, and it's like Lego My Eggo.
Oh no,
I don't know why actually. Now that I say it about 4 times, but that's super funny. I was like, oh, you're getting a sponsorship
How did that work with like copyright or something? Surely that's like a
two G's.
Oh,
it's like when the whole Vanilla Ice thing and Queen thing. It was like no, their song goes din 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 din. I go ding 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 ding. It's kind of like that, but yeah, big
that's
Lego
to
guy.
think about. Oh, huge.
That's gonna be on your bucket list. A Waffle Shop Lego set.
I'll get there.
That'd be fucking sweet because it already looks like a waffle. You can make a waffle real quick.
Do you know what's really little thing as well? Like, I don't actually like sweet waffles. Like in the UK, we have like potato waffles.
Okay.
But it didn't look the same. It didn't look right for the brand.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
So I had to go for that.
I'm gonna go with a French Toast Shop podcast and just do everything anti-mental health.
Yeah, I'll join that. I'll start one.
Yeah. All right, what would be your second one?
M&Ms. I love M&Ms.
Regular or peanut?
Much. I like a mixture.
Ooh.
I like a mixture. I also like the crispy ones.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ones now.
What I don't like is when they start throwing in like salted caramel ones and stuff.
Oh, okay, I like
no
those.
No one needs that.
I do. I like it.
We're doing so well.
I'm a big sweet guy. I don't have a sweet tooth. I get sweet teeth. Like I'll eat anything. I love it. Like I'm a big Reese's guy, but with like Reese's Pieces in them. Like yeah. We got wicked fat food out here. Like we'll make you fat. You'll get whatever you weigh now times that by 2, and that's what you'll weigh in like the next year.
I am worried about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. M&M's is number 2.
Okay.
And I'm guessing, do people like do this and they get all like sentimental and stuff? Do they get like quite? Because I try to like not do that.
Oh yeah, people get sentimental with certain things. Like one girl was like very happy about her nail guy. Like she got real passionate about her nail guy, the guy who does her nails, and they were good looking nails. So yeah, she was very sentimental about him.
Yeah, my third thing would be, and I am going to go there a little bit, but it's like opportunities like this, because again, there is no way in a million years that we would have like met or had like a chat if it wasn't for like my mental health.
Yeah.
So as much as my mental health is like, it puts me in some real like difficult places, if it wasn't for mental health, I wouldn't be having the biggest opportunity of my life or sat here having this conversation with you. So I think that's what I'm oddly grateful for is my mental health and opportunities like this.
Awesome, man. Those are 3 great ones. And then we'll end with this because I always like asking people this because we're both big music lovers, and now I am like so fucking curious to see what your answer is going to be. But I like to know like what people's theme songs would be. Like you're like a professional wrestler, boxer, MMA guy, and the curtain's open. You come out to the crowd. Like what song is playing?
So I struggled with this. This is a very, very difficult question. I'm a huge fan of a trumpet. Like, I feel like it's just a solid, loud instrument that's just like instantly gets your attention. Okay. And then if you put it into like a bit of a summery song, it's just a perfect for me. So it would have to be You Can Call Me Al by Paul Simon.
I have to go back and listen to it. But I like putting a collection of these songs into a playlist, so it's going to be perfect. Oh, God. I'm going to have to listen to that.
I want the link to the playlist.
Deal. I've had a lot of good ones so far, and I have one for my episodes. But you said trumpet and like summery music. Do you watch wrestling at all? Do you know anything about wrestling?
Nope.
Okay, well, there's a wrestler called John Cena. You know John Cena?
Oh, yeah.
His theme song is like a trumpet.
Sometimes invisible.
Yeah, when he does like that and you can't see him. His theme song is a trumpet. It's like... Burr, burr, burr. So you would pretty much...
Oh, my God. And do you know what as well? Like, and I talk about this quite a lot, especially because I'm like a big music fan. Like, Crazy in Love by Beyonce is the perfect way to open a gig or a festival. Just that, da, 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 da. It's just, I don't know what it is. Yeah. I think it's just the trumpet sound. It does something to me.
So at your funeral, I'll play the tap song. You know what I'm talking about? When they like the military plays it, dude.
Oh no!
Yeah,
you
like
do something a bit more upbeat.
Yeah, the real set. I'm trying to think of some good trumpet players because I have a good wide variety of music myself, but I'm always bad at like naming songs. I'm like I name like the wrong artist, but because I just do shuffle on all my playlists and I like don't even look like who it is. But yeah, that's a good answer. I like it. I like it. I'm gonna just think John Cena for right now until I look up the Paul Simon song. So you're pretty much.
It's just an instant good mood. Promise you, instant good mood.
Trumpets all around. Now let's end with this, Taylor. Like just. Give everything you got where they can find you. Everything social media. What do you got?
So I'm on Instagram at Waffle Shop Podcast. Twitter, I think everything's the same. It's all Waffle Shop Podcast. Obviously, you can listen to it like on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon. I don't know. The all of them. I think is on now.
That's the best way to do it. Just
keep Waffle Shop.
Keep it simple. Yeah, if you type in Waffle Podcast, that like 2 keywords, I'm pretty sure you'll find him. Do you have anything planned coming up? Any big besides the move? You got anything big with the podcast?
Maybe.
Ooh, I like it. That's all we need to know. That's all we need to know. I don't care. Maybe. If you said no, I'd be like, oh, here we go. But no, that's good. We're gonna end it with this. Taylor, thank you so much, man. This is a huge pleasure, and I was looking forward to this really so much. So, Taylor, thank you so much.
Genuinely, thank you for having me. It's been, if not the favorite one that I've been on, so thank you for the invite. It's been, I've loved it.
Such a good bloke, such a good mate. Thank you, man.
I love that.
This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. If you are feeling suicidal, please dial 911.